Welcome back, and we are playing out the F-15A. The F-15A is the new addition to the air superiority update. I want to warn you, however, today is the patch release day, and the first 2 to 3 days top tier is absolutely unflyable. And this first clip right here is gonna show you exactly why that is. Now, these things do happen every so often, but on patch day they happen basically every game. I did 30 games, and this happened about 6 or 7 times to me. And it's just absolutely, it's just beautiful. First you get team killed, and then his teammate steals your kill. This is the experience at top tier release. Now I'm gonna call him something in the chat, but luckily I don't press enter, so I didn't say it. But if you're reading this, yes, every letter I typed was absolutely meant. What is the F-15 like? The F-15 is pretty solid. You have an amazing radar. The top speed isn't that fantastic, but the acceleration that you have is absolutely insane. You do want to be careful with your turning at about 600 to 800 kilometers an hour, or like 600 to 700. But overall, it turns okay. If you get low enough to use the flaps, you can dogfight a lot of stuff simply because you have the trust to do it. Now, we do need to test it a little bit more in depth, but when you are flying this thing in actual games, it's more than sufficient. Then we have the AIM-7Ms. The AIM-7Ms are missiles we are all familiar with and don't really need an introduction. The radar set on this thing also feels not finalized, and that's not a bad thing per se. It holds lock quite well, but keep in mind that even though the radar might be hard to notch, the AIM-7Ms are still notchable in itself, so it doesn't really make it that much stronger than something like an F-16. Then of course we have no HMD, we have AIM-9Ms, which also don't need an introduction, and overall it's a very solid kit. It doesn't burn that much fuel that quickly, which means that you don't have to run full tank. I'm bringing 20 minutes of fuel in the first few clips. You see me run full tank, then I went to 30, and I never really ran out, and running half afterburner on this thing is also more than sufficient, so you don't really need to worry about having to hammer the afterburner all the time. So I transferred over to 20 minutes of fuel with 2 fuel tank. It also probably looks the most iconic, so I decided to run just the 2 on the wings, and you can always drop them if you need to, because you do need to be careful that if you are very heavy, you're not that maneuverable. It's good enough, it's super stable, it's good in the stalls, but full fuel, even 20 minutes, sometimes you will rip your wings off. It's very frustrating. I only ripped it twice, and it was with very minor inputs, but what happened is I used my mouse, and then you go neck G a little bit with a little bit of extra rudder or like roll, they will rip clean off. So be careful with mouse aiming, especially with putting your cursor below your plane, because it will do the instructor thing where it rolls for you and then also pitches down for you, just absolutely combusting your wings off your vehicle. Be careful with that, but overall, very solid kit. AIM-9Ms also don't need an introduction. Stupid from side aspect, okay from directly the front. It's mostly dangerous from like 2 to 4 o'clock kind of on the side. Front and rear is flammable. Overall, just very solid. The gun is good. 900 rounds. It's very far mounted to the right side of the plane, making it kind of annoying to aim sometimes, but it's not really an issue because you have more ammo to compensate for it, so I didn't really find it that much of an issue, but it has made me miss a few very easy shots. Overall, I think it's just a very solid kit, and it's not like super game breaking. It's not that far off what we already had in the game, and overall I can't complain. We still need to test it a little bit because all the flight models did get changed on the live server, so the dev server testing I wouldn't say is useless, but it's not as correct as it might have been. And if you're wondering why I'm showing you the F-16 simply crashing in front of me, it's just to kind of show you the turning circle and that you can hang with something like an F-16C, especially from behind. I do think it's slightly better than something like the F-16C. Just more missiles. Overall, a better kit. The F-16C is faster than you, which is rather annoying, because if they do get on your 6, especially F-16As, there's very little you can do. You mostly have to just kind of stay out of danger by using your acceleration, your speed, and just your overall kit in general. But we are going to look at that right in this clip. So we are flying to the left side of the map, and we are getting locked right now by someone below us. I wanted to lock the guy in the far back. I didn't expect people to be here. They crashed the hill, so we instantly go into a notch, and this is exactly why I still run chaff people. If you have the ability to, make sure to run it, because it will save your ass when you are not directly on the deck. So MiG-29 gets slammed out of the air, we dodge the F-16, and the F-16 is turning around. It is an F-16C, and I don't want to deal with that AIM-9M, so I look at him, I know that I have plenty of range to just kind of do this. I flare once, just pull down over the hill, and the missile is out of the question. The issue is, especially on patch day, like it happens all the time, people are very greedy for kills anyway, but everyone is grinding right now. This guy wants to kill you, and he will send it for you to the end of the earth. So this guy is gonna send it after us, which is gonna kind of force our hand, because he will catch us in the long run. And if he gets too close and we are going too fast, I'm not gonna have a very great time actually flaring the aim 9M. So I notice it's an aim 7, it's not an aim 9. So I'm gonna cut afterburn, I'm gonna slow down a little bit, and by the time I get a little bit slow enough, I'm gonna start pulling in. We dodge the aim 9M with some maneuvers and some flares, but now the entire enemy team comes in. Now, why am I showing you this after telling you have to stay out of danger and keep fast? Because sometimes you just have no other choice. So we are gonna try to get out of this. We crit the Mirage 4000, and we have a bit of room here. And look at this acceleration. We are simply going to leave. Now, the only issue right here is that there is still more of the team coming in. So, looks to be kind of okay. And then we look a bit up and yeah. So instead, let's look at an example where it actually did go right. But I do want to include those clips because, well, top tier is very much unpredictable. And sometimes you just get force your hand, you make a small misplay, and you just get completely put out of position. R73 comes in, we kind of bleed it of energy. I didn't really need to flare at all. We kind of corkscrew it after it burns out. Starts doing the tuck shaker basically, and it falls out of the air relatively quick. And I want to especially look at the acceleration here from 0.9 to 1.05 or something like that. It absolutely rips through that speed range, and that's where you want to sit. So you kind of fly it like an F5E in that regard, where you try to keep it fast, and you will stay fast very, very easily. Now, you can dogfight in this thing. It's not quite an F5E, as I said, but it's good enough. It can definitely hang with stuff. So JAS 39 comes in. This thing did get nerfed, rightfully so. It only pulls about 12 Gs right now, but it's still good in the dogfight. We merge underneath it. And I'm just gonna try to shoot him down right here. Now, this is a part of me having bad aim, a part of me just having the shoulder mounted gun, and a part of me just not being really used to the high speeds of top tier anymore, and I miss everything. Okay, whatever. We dive out, we are gonna try and accelerate away here because there's multiple people coming in from the other side. So we are gonna try to lock in, pre-flare for the JAS on the left side. We go underneath him again. J11 comes in, which is a heavier SU-27, but more of that a little bit later. And we get on the JAS. And we shoot a missile, it doesn't track, it gets flared or whatever. And I can just leave. And look at my acceleration from 0.9 to 1. That's it. And even though I'm turning slightly, it still accelerates. This thing absolutely rips through the speed ranges. And keep in mind that at about like 0.95 Mach is the most draggy area in terms of drag in general. It has absolutely stupendous amounts of thrust. And that's what makes it so good to fly. So the MiG-29 is on R6 now. The JAS-39 is also on the left side over there. And the reason why I was running away for a little bit, because I wanted to dogfight the MiG-29, but the JAS actually turned back in and he's gonna contest us. So if we then try to dogfight the MiG-29, we are simply going to be dead. This guy is way too high, eats the missile, and we are gonna go to their airfield and dogfight the last guy. Now, this dogfight isn't really gonna show you that much, but I just want to show you somewhat of the maneuverability. It's the MiG-29 that we didn't kill earlier, and it is an SMT, so I'm gonna warn you, it's gonna look much worse than it actually is. The MiG-29 and the F-15 are actually pretty closely matched. How close, we don't know exactly yet, but I'm gonna merge a lot slower than him. He just took off, he's full of fuel, but I mainly want you to look at my turning circle. Just how tightly it turns on these low amounts of fuel. It is not shabby at all. Now we are just gonna missile him out of the air. There's really nothing skill worthy or whatever about this kill, but I just want you to see this plane in action as much as possible. And it's hard to get good dogfights in random matches because there's always some kind of equalizer, whether it's fuel, whether it's pilot skill, whether it's people just not seeing you. So it's very hard to get like interesting footage in this kind of regard. We need to test this in a custom battle, kind of like we did when we are streaming the dev server and I was dueling pilot for a while. And this is again gonna be your prime gameplay loop. You hide, you try to come in from angles where people don't expect you, and you just range half the lobby. So we missile out the first guy, we then pitch up into the MiG-29 because otherwise he's gonna sit on our ass, and I don't want that R73 to be launched directly from behind when I'm not going particularly fast. And the other two guys are busy on the deck, so I can now just dogfight the MiG-29. This time we are on equal fuel however, but I'm running full tank. So I'm a little bit heavier than I would like to be. And I'm still gonna turn into him very, very easily. The MiG-29 SMT has no chance. It's still an absolutely dogshit airframe, other than having decent missiles. But with the Su-27 in the game right now, there is not a singular reason to fly that thing out anymore. Then we dive in from above, we help out our teammate, shoot a second missile off, it's the last guy, so I might as well just secure the kill. First one hits, and that is going to be game. Next map on, again, the Volcano map, because this is the only map you are gonna get. Well, this one and Vietnam are probably like 80% of my total gameplay today. And that's fine. I don't really mind the map, there's a good bit of terrain. I wish there was a little bit more terrain in the middle of the map. But overall, it flows well. But again, it's patch day, everyone goes wherever the fuck they want. And it's an absolute shit show when it comes to finding people and knowing where the team is going to be. Everyone goes everywhere. It's one massive blob of just all kind of diseases that I can't say without getting demonetized. It's quite painful. But again, the F-15 kind of copes with it, because it can stay out of trouble for the most part. Now, again, getting team killed, getting absolutely swarmed by 9 people at once. It's very, very common the first 2 or 3 days. And I never look forward to getting these first few videos out. So take all the gameplay with a grain of salt. The plane itself, again, it feels good. It's just right now, the actual matches are an absolute chore to play. My first 15 games, I think I died 6 times. 2 of which were team kills on takeoff, and 3 of them were team kills in the middle of the map by people that weren't paying attention. It's not fun. It's painful, and if you GE these vehicles, there's a lot of people around that really just don't like it when people wheel their stuff, they GE their stuff, or whatever they do, they get jealous, or whatever the hell you want to call it. So when you take off in these new planes, check your 6, because there might be someone lining up to kill you just because he doesn't like you having the new shiny stuff. So just a little bit of a warning. But let's get right back in the gameplay, because I don't want to go on too much of a tangent, because that's not what you are here for. We loop back in, stay on the outskirts of the map, because again, you don't want to be boxing completely, but one guy comes in from the left side, and we need to start going defensive. We are not fast enough to get away from him, so I'm going to air brake a little bit. I'm going to try to stay inside of a Sterling circle. We dodge his gun, and it's a MiG-29 SMT, and you can already tell by my position and the amount of speed that he has that we are going to have a very easy time. And the maps like this are probably the most fun you'll have in planes like this, because you can actually kind of stay within the mountains. And I think that this right here is, as of right now, my favorite map at top tier. You have the tunnel you can occasionally use, you have hills, you have mountains, you have water. You have a bit of everything, and it's a very diverse map. Twitter would absolutely love that, but they wouldn't love the FRE in the background committing 9/11 into the first skyscraper that he sees. He might get cancelled, but overall this map is bussin' for real on God. I can't really put it any other way. We merge with the J8, and he's going to shoot a Python at us. But yet again, because we have so much acceleration, we are able to get away from the missile and simply just disengage. We are going to run away, reposition, and then we notice a guy on the horizon. And I want to kill him first. I want to make sure that I'm not going to get third-partied from behind, as I'm busy with the people that are now behind me. If there's only one of them on that side, I will kill him first. Then loop on over and not really worry about anyone that's behind me. It's J8, it's F4EJs. Not really too worried about those planes. So I'm gonna just fly the other way and kind of discover whatever the hell that plane over there is. 14 kilometers, we shoot the AIM-7M off. We are going Mach 1. He's a bit above us, but it should be good. I'm gonna stay below him. I'm gonna try to crank it a little bit, but I'm not really too much of a danger, so I'm just gonna try to fly away from the people behind us. He's too slow to really dodge it, and he ends up headbutting it directly on the forehead, which is perfect for us. And now, because the J8 has been chasing us, as well as the teammate on my left there, the F-16, we are now able to just kind of loop in behind him, and we're gonna make sure that he doesn't kill our teammate, so that we can just win the game. I get behind him, the J8 actually notices us, and I can just drop my throttle behind him. I'm relatively light, I'm on 17 minutes, and this guy doesn't have the best turning performance once you get on hit 6, so I'm just gonna try to ride his ass, and I will just accelerate him into the ground basically. Now this is an example of the absolute terrible gun placement as well as my terrible aim. We take him down anyway. It doesn't really cost us anything in the end other than half my ammo load. But everyone has that Nuka inside of them, and sometimes you just end up missing everything, even though it's the easiest shot in the world. And that's basically all I have for you today. I have some more clips right here. They're not the best dogfights, but I just want to add them anyway to show you a little bit of the performance of this thing and things you need to be kind of careful of. So we have an F-16 coming in. He's not low enough. I'm staying a little bit higher because I shot first. I can shoot down on him. And because he took the bait, he went vertical a little bit for us. And he ends up headbutting the missile in his forehead. You can see me dropping these fuel tanks off. And this is the last guy in the enemy team. That's how short these games are. I didn't even burn through my 2 fuel tanks. I had to drop them off. I crit this guy. But I want you to take a look at the turning performance at about 600 kilometers an hour. Yes, I'm on full fuel right now, so I'm extremely heavy. I still have 4 missiles on. But overall, this plane is very much susceptible to the amount of fuel that you are carrying. And this goes for most planes. Luckily in this plane, you don't really rely on dogfighting. So it doesn't really hinder you all that much. Now this time around, we are again not through our fuel. So we are gonna loop on over. But I don't even need to drop it this time around. This guy is too slow. I have all the position in the world. And I'm just able to kind of loop on over and nuke him out of the air. He gets set on fire. He's gonna die very quickly. And we are then gonna fly towards the middle of the map. And dogfight the last F-14. That was just absolutely slinging Phoenixes the entire match. Now he did it at the start of the game. He returned to base. And now he's trying it again. So we're gonna try to stay low. Make sure that he doesn't actually hit us. Dodge the head on. I thought he was going to merge with us. And I'm still on 20 minutes of fuel. This is just after killing the F-16C basically. And this guy is going absolute sicko mode. He kills the first guy in the head-on. He killed someone else with a Phoenix in the background. And he's about to kill the third guy directly in his face. For some reason everyone forgets that they have to stay low if you want to dodge these missiles. But everyone stays at like 15 to 20 meters. And then you just simply get shot down extremely easily. So we are going to air brake into this turn, and because the F-14 kind of took off a little bit ago, we're just going to turn inside of him instantly. He also reverses his turn, so he instantly gets shot down. And that's essentially all I have for you today. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, let me know down below. But that's all I have for you today. You'll see me out tomorrow with the Gripen.